Okay, thank you. Everybody's got their possessions. So welcome to this Alliance Breakfast Club, which, as you know, is co-hosted with the Shell Foundation. So I'd like to start by thanking them. They've been very good hosts to us over many years for providing this great venue and breakfast. So a special thank you to the Shell Foundation. We're very sorry not to have Richard with us today. It was an absolutely last minute. His mother's been taken ill, so of course that was a priority. Happened just this morning. So this breakfast club has been a little bit hit by bad luck, because the first time we scheduled it, it was the time of the tube strike, so we decided we had to call it off. So now we're quite a small select group, because obviously a lot of people are on holiday and we had very short notice. But it's nice to see so many of you have come. And because we're just the two speakers, we'll be aiming to really bring all of you into the conversation. So we'll be relying on you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Caroline Hartnell, and I'm retiring as editor of Alliance magazine at the end of August. And I'd like to introduce you now to my successor, Paula Park, who's sitting here. So Paula is just, I'm sure some of you have already met her. So today's Breakfast Club will focus on some questions arising out of the June special feature, which focuses on beneficiary or I think, as David would prefer to call it, constituent feedback. So the big issue for us is that almost all foundations and non-profits agree that getting beneficiary feedback and responding to it is a good idea. So why don't more of them do it? So we want to explore, what does it offer foundations? What does it offer, how can we be sure, we want to look also a little bit more widely, how can we be sure we are bringing the right sort of evidence about effectiveness for donors thinking about their giving, and are there other sorts of evidence we should be considering? So we want to look at beneficiary feedback, but also look a bit more widely at other sorts of feedback, and that would be interesting to have some input from people in the audience. So we have a small panel, but a great panel today. So on my right, we have David Bonbrad, who is co-founder and CEO of Keystone Accountability, which is really leading the way in terms of constituent feedback. In fact, really, David is the person who came up with the idea, or certainly as it's presently being used, and David's also one of the guest editors for the special feature. And then to my left I have Nina Schuler from DFID. She's the Social Development Advisor in their Finance, Performance and Impact Department. And DFID is mentioned, there's one of the articles in the special feature where Kai Hopkins and Natalia, whose name, sorry David, I'm not going to manage, from Keystone, talk about how the field is developing, and they divide the world into innovators, early adopters and laggards. And DFID features as one of the early adopters, so that's why we're particularly interested to have Nina on the panel today. So I'd like to start by asking David to kick off and saying a few words about the special feature and what were we looking for and what we came up with. David, I'm going to give you this.
Thank you.
Oh, just to say we are recording, so some more people will be able to see it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Caroline. I think the first thing to say is that it's an incredible privilege to guest edit an issue of Alliance magazine with Caroline Hartnell, and it feels a bit poignant that it was the last one that she did fully on her own. And when she told me she was planning to graduate, as it were, I said, well, can we just guest edit one more issue, any topic you want, just let me do it with you. So we managed to get that right, so I'm so glad we were able to do that. And on a topic that I care about, so that was great. So constituent feedback, or as we like to call it, a Keystone constituent voice. I think what we were trying to do was really map the contours of what I think of as an emerging field of practice. And to locate it and help people who read all the articles to see where it sits alongside other more established practices like formative and summative evaluation, civic engagement, participatory development methodologies, and kind of see where this new animal lies, what it is, what it isn't, what problems it's good for solving, what problems it doesn't address, and just kind of come away with a clear sense of the beast. And I'd be very interested from all of you, having probably most of you looked at the issue, read some of the articles, your take on that and whether you see anything like that emerging. In the issue, we looked at some of the pioneers, practitioners, implementing organizations that are actually taking up these practices. And by constituent voice, what I mean is a systematic practice of listening to the people that you mean to help, that are meant to benefit from your work. Not just listening, but landing that in information, in metrics, in data that finds its way into institutional decision-making in formal ways through report cards and keeping track, and ideally is put into the public domain so that all stakeholders can actually see what people